I just created a song to honor the life of Charlie Kirk, and in this video I'm going to break down how I made it so that you can be inspired and maybe create similar music for yourself, for perhaps other people or events that happen in your life that inspire you. I've always been a fan of like spoken word music where you have clips from movies or speeches or whatever in your songs, and this is also very prevalent in synthwave. So that's the kind of the song I made, is a synthwave spoken word type song. So first thing I did was I was kind of just on X and people were posting lots of clips, and so I just took some of the clips that I thought were the best and saved them, and then I took the audios and put them into this track here. So these are different words that Charlie has spoken, and then also have some from his wife Erica as well. And so I ended up having more than I needed, so those are the parts that are muted. So start with the drums. I had a really simple drum pattern. So this kick on, 4 on the floor kick with the snare hitting on the 2 and the 4, some hi-hats filling in, and then I just added in some cowbell and some other stuff to fill in. And then it gradually gets louder until we get to the chorus. It's basically the same pattern, just louder. I layered the sample, the snare sample. And then I think I actually may have cheated a little bit and used the built-in drummer in Logic to create the pattern, if I remember right. And then maybe I just tweaked it a little bit, added in some stuff, took out some stuff. I think I created that drum fill at the end too here. Then with the bridge drums, pretty simple. Just something a little bit more floaty. Not quite as driving. Then we got the bass here, using a couple of different ones here. So I got like a fat line style bass here, just that was made in Vital. And if you want to know how to create a bass sound like that, I have a full tutorial breaking it down. I'll have that linked in the description below. And same thing over here. I just created a separate track for it so I could throw an ARP on it to get kind of more of this like disco 80s style ARP bass where it's going up and down an octave. And here are the different effects I threw on it. If we just solo the bass. Chorus. Just this Freetal chorus plugin, and you can hear that really widens it, really makes it nice. A synthwave feel. Then we got some Super VHS on here as well, adding some saturation. And so if you don't have this paid plugin, you can just throw some free saturation plugin on there. Add some EQ. Again, just find a free EQ. Analog Obsession has one that's like very similar to this. So we're boosting the high mids and the lows here for the bass. Definitely fattens it up, makes it more present. And I created that preset, so I use that all the time. This is why I use that. Then we got this. I created a whole video on how I did this, but the sidechain the certain frequencies here to the kick drum. So rather than like sidechaining the entire bass and creating like a pumping sound, which isn't quite so much fitting with vintage synthwave, it's more of a modern dancey effect, we're just cutting the bass frequencies when the kick comes in. So just the bass frequencies of the bass are getting out of the way. And also some of the highs up here where the click of the kick is, and then to compensate, we're kind of boosting some of the high mids for the bass. It's very subtle, but just so subtle you can hear the kick, the low end of the kick, and the kick just become more present. It just feels more like there's more movement from the bass there. And it was still sounding a little thin, so I added in some R bass to add some, I think harmonics is what this is adding in, or I can't remember how this works, but it's just boost the bass. So boosting it right around 50 hertz. Definitely beefs it up. Then we're adding some more saturation, doing some console saturation here. The filter, I'm doing filter automation throughout. Actually, it's just at the end. And I was going to use this to do for some automation too. Okay, so I do some at the end there. Okay. So just as this song dies out, I have closed the filter on the bass. And it's closing from both ends. Because if you just close off the highs, then it can get really too kind of distorted and boomy in the low end. Because you've got your limiter and your compression, all your stuff on your mix bus. I did do some cutoff stuff in here from the Vital synth, it looks like. So I did do some. So you can hear it kind of increases over here. Very subtle. And this is a big transition here out of the bridge into the chorus. I thought that was pretty cool. So this is a very short, plucky type bass sound. So what I did is I automated up the sustain and then the cutoff as well. So the cutoff and sustain are boosting at the same time. And then immediately cuts off as we get into the chorus. I was trying to create like something different and unique during the verse here. Something just really sustained and drawn out. So I wanted to kind of build up that tension so it can be released in the chorus, and then also just have a kind of small, heroic type feel. So it looks like we got more going on in the second verse here. And that's also where most of the spoken word is, so I didn't want a whole lot of movement going on to distract from those. And then, let's see, we got this accenting it as well. Looks like these are all Vital sounds, which I think a lot of these come from my friend Alonzo's upcoming synthwave pack, which he hasn't released yet. So this is a teaser. Hopefully he's okay with me dropping a teaser about it. But it's really good. And so I've been using it a lot, so I don't know what to do. He gave it to me. I'm going to use it. It's amazing. Sorry, Alonzo. But I'll make sure to put a link to it in the description of this video when he does release it so you can go and buy it because it is amazing. And then I put this Brower motion thing on it to move it around. So without it, not bad. That's really cool. It's really spacey. It's also giving me like Truman Show vibes. Like you've heard the soundtrack of the Truman Show, like at the end. One of my favorite movies. I've got these. And I got this Star Sweeper in here. I guess this is a built-in Logic sound. Just to kind of accent it, give it a little bit more of an attack. And then the chorus, yeah, we got the filter opening up on that. Just really kind of like, felt like bittersweet, kind of epic vibe. And so I created it with these 2 pedal tones in the middle, and then we have the root note down here. And I think this is the 3rd. So I took the 3rd from the chord, bumped it up, I guess, an octave, and then put a couple of pedal tones in the middle. And that's how I created that. And then we just have it duplicate on these 2 different pad sounds. Then we got the bridge, which is the same chords, it looks like, but without the pedal tone, without the wide octave split. So it's just shrunken down the chords. So it feels a little smaller, a little bit more intimate. And on the pads, I use this center tool by Waves. And this is really cool. This is great for splitting and widening out your sound. So like if you don't want it to be in the middle, you just want to move out to the sides, you can do that. So I use this a lot to get width. And so without this, we'll hear what it sounds like. Just kind of moves it out to the sides more. And to get even more width, I add a chorus, freestyle chorus. Gives it more of that wet, chorusy 80s vibe as well. And we got this EQ. Trying to keep it more in the middle, trying to create room for the leads and the arps and everything up there. Then I add this infected mushroom pusher here just for some harmonics and some stereo widening, as some more stereo widening. And we got the filter on here as well, as the filter opens up over time. And I keep it really dark and quiet up here when the spoken word is, so it doesn't like overwhelm that. And then it gets brighter up here. And that's pretty cool too. To help with the transition, I cut out most of the chords and just kept the high part here. So it's like, really stands out, makes it really cool. And then I got some more console saturation. And this is sidechained to bus 1, which is the vocals. So this gets out of the way when the vocals are playing. So right about up here where the main higher frequencies of the vocals are. So it's sidechained to that, so these pads kind of get out of the way. You can hear the spoken word part more clearly with that sidechain compression there. Then we got the arps here. And these are wonderful. Pretty simple, just descending. It's like almost like a 3/4 type pattern. So again, it's the same thing repeated, but I just change up the last bar for each end. So again, it has a little freshness. It sounds a little unique each time it plays through. It doesn't just get boring after a while or annoying. And then effect-wise, those filters opening and closing. Opening and closing. You got a bunch of different lanes here. So here's the filter right there that opens over time. We're also doing the filter cutoff inside of Vital. That's also being modulated. Yeah, another sound by my friend Alonzo and his Synthwave Dojo. And then sustain, that also gets changed a bit here. Big time, again, when that transition. Help with that transition out of the bridge into the chorus, and the envelope decay also changes over time. So it's a I really like to do that a lot with my arps, is have them change a lot over time. Nice and small and plucky. And by the end here, they're more sustained, almost like becoming like a plucky pad. We got the leads here. I guess I just play these on my keyboard. And this sound is the ambient melody lead inside of Syntronic 2. And this is kind of a type of sound. You can find it in other DAWs and synths and stuff. It has that glide, that portamento glide on it. Right here. And I find myself, I've used this for years. If you go back to like one of my most popular instrumental songs on Spotify, Angel Army, I have a similar sound to this, although I created that in Cubase with the built-in Cubase synth. But I just like using that for more ambient type lead sounds. I just find it's like really epic sounding. And then I've got some other Syntronic leads in here as well. This is a something city lead and Atmos. Okay, that's a bell. And so if we look the leads here, as far as processing, lots of EQ, trying to cut out all the lows that we don't need, and also some of those harsh resonances. Oh yeah, the Arps stuck down the cutoff a lot here during the spoken word part.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. Courage for my faith.
I'm using this Atmos bell, sounds super dreamy inside of Syntronic 2. And this is actually a built-in Logic sound, this Formant Vox, kind of a choir-ish sound that comes in here in the second verse.
This principle, as we not only have moral degradation, we not only
I want to give more of that like epic, heroic, even churchy type of feel. The Starlit Serenade here. This is from the BA1. It looks like Shimmering Memories. It's different sound. That's what it initially was. Really nice sound. And on the individual list lead, we also have some dotted quarter note delay with ping pong, which is really nice. That was like the first delay sound I ever found, like back in 2012 or whenever when I first started making music that I really liked and put on everything. So it's a callback there for myself. No one else would know the reference. And then we got some Tal reverb on these too. Awesome free. As you can see, most of this stuff is free. Most of the effects is free or can be done with free stuff. Effects. These effects I got from LANDR, who's the sponsor of this video. I use them for all of my samples, including a lot of the different cool effects I got in here. Except for this bald eagle screech. I got that off of like YouTube or something. But like these sweeps, I think, and this tom hit. Pretty cool. And the sweep. And Baldito. Pretty cool. And this, I also have this other stuff over here. Pretty cool. I did use some other effects that were built into Logic, but LANDR samples, they're so amazing. Any sitar in here? 654 results. And of course, I use this a lot for synthwave sounds, so I can do synthwave. Almost 30,000 results, so that's insane. And so if you want to check this out, you can actually get 20% off your first year's subscription when you use my link in the description below or go to orpheusAudioacademy.com/LANDR. And so then that takes me to the spoken word, the vocals here. I just threw some curves equator on here for the resonances, kind of cut those out in the limiter to make sure they're not clipping. And they're nice and loud.
I want you to commit yourselves to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know
I think there
how
was,
it's going to work out.
there might have been music or something, a lot of background noise over this, so I had to like cut those out, and I put a bunch of Waves Clarity VX on here to kind of denoise it. It doesn't sound the best, but it works. Kind of cut out more of that harshness and some of the highs. They weren't really hurting your ears. Put some RVox compression on them.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know.
Yeah, I think I used the stem splitter in Logic to get rid of that, to cut it out, and the background music. Then I put in these denoisers.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage.
A little bit more clear. Then I got the EQ.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out. Courage is committing yourself to the correct course of action, regardless. I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing.
Butch Vig vocals.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out. Course of action, regardless of the cost associated to it. I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out.
So I was really trying to take out that harshness because it was very harsh. And I got some delay.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out.
We got some Valhalla, like room reverb.
I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out.
And some towel reverb.
Courage is committing yourself to the correct course of action, regardless of the cost associated to it.
I also got the crowd here from a video chanting his name. EQ'd that heavily. So EQ'd it. Some quad imager on it. Just try to spread it out. There's just a bunch of one knobs on here. Fatter. Pressure for compression. Brighter. And then I had a filter going.
Echo around the world like a battle cry.
Okay, that was one last thing I forgot that I did to kind of make this kind of cooler was I used Humanoid on this part of Erica's vocals to kind of make it, I needed it like, it almost felt like I needed her to be shouting it, but she's not shouting it, and I can't change that, obviously. Well, I probably could if I used AI, but we're not doing that. So I wanted to make it sound a little bit more broken and desperate. So that's really nice. Almost sounds like she's crying with that on.
Go around the world like a battle cry.
I did a full tutorial too breaking down this plugin. If you're interested in knowing more about this, or if you want to pick it up yourself, I'll have a link to this in the description below, along with all the other major plugins that I'm using. And then I wanted to echo, so I was lazy and just made a copy of this and put a put a delay on it, so I didn't have to automate a delay. So then together,
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. Around the world like a battle cry.
if you want to check out the music video I made to go along with this song, you can check that out if you click in the link below or go to andromedicoastmusic.com/martyr, because this song is titled American Martyr. You can learn more about the song there and how you can listen to it if that's something that you are interested in. Now, if you want to check out a song I made in a brand new synthwave subgenre that I'm calling Trauma Wave, you can check out my video on the screen right now and see how I made that track.